Hello everybody, welcome back to this video. I want to talk about a cryptocurrency here that I've talked about a numerous amount of times, and essentially so far that every single video I've made, it's just been doing bear flag after bear flag after bear flag. Now I do believe there is going to be a time where you're going to want to be invested into NFT/metaverse cryptocurrencies. Now I've got a handful of charts lined up for you, also some really nice Google trend charts, and I want to show you something that I don't think many people are talking about. I made a video, I'll leave the link in the description below and a little card probably up on the one of the corners. Now NFTs, they have been essentially hammered right from the 2021 crypto top. They've just been in a massive decline. No one's interested in them. I remember when there was YouTube channels just dedicated to talking about the next NFT drop, the next NFT drops that were coming up, and there was these massive channels, and now you're not even seeing them post and stuff. It's essentially they've all moved on. It's some people would say it's just a fad. It's dead. It's going away. Even Mark Zuckerberg's essentially thrown in the towel on the whole metaverse idea. So maybe it is dead, but I do think there is going to be, me personally, I'm going to allocate a very small percentage of my crypto portfolio into some of these cryptocurrencies. Now is the time to be researching in these bear markets, as this is going to be the point where you can pick and choose from many projects that are down well and truly over 90, 95, some are even down like 98, 97%. So now is the time to pick and choose some of the blue chip quality NFT/metaverse cryptocurrencies out in the crypto space. So I want to jump straight into the charts here, guys. At the moment, we are still in a bear flag. So we've been ranging essentially in a horizontal trading area, a very tight trading area, and it's been trading there for the last 75 days. So I do think this is eventually going to break to the downside once again. So far, every single video I've made, it's essentially just keep making bear flag and breaking down. Now, if we talk about a very conservative level here, if we just talk about this recent down move into the pattern, you get a price target right on the dime at around 305. So from current trading area, we're talking about a 18% pullback. So a sweep of this low that we formed back here. Now, I was talking about this crash and it perfectly went straight up into resistance, but I also want to talk about this wick here. So I was telling people, keep these lines, horizontal resistance and support trend lines, in your chart, as they are crucial support and resistance trend lines. And where did it go? It stopped right out there at that 308 level, like perfectly right on the dot. Now, for all the ECOMI bulls out there, you really want to see ECOMI break above this area here. So this downsloping resistance trend line, if we flip over to the weekly, you guys can see it a lot more cleaner. So you can see if we get a break above around 3095, I would say there's a high probability that the ECOMI low is in. At the moment, we are a long distance away from hitting that trend line. I was talking about the more times you retest this trend line, the resistance downsloping trend line, you're more likely going to break through it, right? So we've already had 3 tests, right? It acted as support back here, but you've acted as 3 resistance points. Now on the 4th or 5th attempt, I do think it's going to break through, right? The more times you run into a door, the first time you're probably not going to, make the door fall flat on its face. But on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th attempt, you have a very high probability the door's going to be hanging off the hinges, and then boom, it's just going to collapse, right? So ECOMI, if you're an ECOMI bull, you want to see it break above this trend line here, which, like I said, currently sits at around 3095. Now, I have a bigger concern here. So I know this move here, right? We're being very conservative with this trend line. I do think there is a probable chance that we could be in for a massive move, right? So I was talking about this massive bear flag here. This bear flag formed for a longer time than the current bear flag. So around 106 days, we're currently 25 days just short. So if we're like the same distance as this bear flag here, I do think you're going to have another 50% drop, because this drop here from this high down to this low, this was 59%, right? And I was warning people once it was breaking below here, I was saying get out, it's probably going to go a hell of a lot lower. Now I do believe that we're forming essentially the same bear flag, right? It's essentially the same duration of time. We're just around 25 days short at the moment, but if we chop sideways for the next 25 days, no one's essentially buying and selling, I do think you are going to get another move lower. Now, I also want to show you some other charts here with the Google Trend Analytics, and I want to show you why that we could be in here for, you know, essentially around, I would say, a 1 year bear market still, so for some of these altcoins. Now, if we extend this trend line here, we're talking about a huge drop. So we're going to get a pierce below 303. So $100, 100 US dollars at that price point is going to essentially buy you around 330, around 300,000 ECOMI, right, for $100. So if you have around $300, 333 US dollars, that essentially buys you 1 million ECOMI coins. So I just want to keep out both of them levels. I do think we're in another bigger macro bear flag. This was a micro bear flag that I was talking about, and then it had that sweep below that low, because I was talking about it had that double bottom, small little 15% bounce, and then it rolled over, acted as resistance, and it's continued to go lower. And now what I also want to say, have a look at the direction of these channels. So see how these are more slanted up sloping, right? And then you had a less steep of an angle on this bear flag, and now this one's just horizontal. So what this is telling me is that there's essentially no bulls or no bidders coming into the market. There's no like floor price for ECOMI, right? It's getting weaker and weaker. The bulls aren't really stepping in. The bulls are showing a lot more strength here. The bears are showing a lot more strength here, sorry. So I do think there is going to be a very large, another big downside move here. Probable, a 50% correction once again. So from the all-time high when we hit that 1 cent high way back during the 2021 bull market, to this low, it was down 96%. We're currently trading down around 95%. And if I just zoom out here real quick, you can see that this drop here is going to be a whopping 97%. So almost 98% from the all-time high. And at that price level there, I do think there's a very good risk to reward ratio. If you're just dabbling, a few $100s in some of these cryptocurrencies, and if it goes back up to the all-time high, that's a very, very good trade. You're talking about, that's like a 30x, right? So from that low, if you were to buy the low and it hits the all-time high once again, that's about more than like a 33x your money from those lows. Now, I want to talk about another thing. So have a look at this chart here where you can see the green and red bars. So this indicates all the buys and sells that have happened, right? So when people have been buying and selling, swapping cryptocurrency, ECOMI at these price levels. As you can see, people keep dollar cost averaging in. As you can see, the largest bar is currently where we're trading at, right? Where we're forming this bear flag. A lot of people have bought and sold here. Now, when I trade, I look at this because this is where people break even. So let's say we pump up to this downsloping resistance trend line, right? So you can see this currently sits around 309. If we were to get up to this level, there's going to be resistance there. Why is that? Because there's going to be people that are going to have a look at their crypto portfolio, and especially if they hold ECOMI, they're going to be, thank goodness, I'm break even, I can cash out and just, let it run. Because a lot of these people, they've been holding, if you bought the top here, as you can see, people did buy this top at around 0.2066 of a cent, so 6.6 pips of a cent. If ECOMI was to rally back up to these levels, there is going to be resistance here. Same with this area here. You can see a lot of people bought and sold around 2.03 of a cent. So there's going to be resistance there. So each of these volume pockets where there's a huge supply and demand zone, that is where there's going to be a lot of resistance, right? So at the moment, if we are to break below this area here, this down bear flag, and if we were to pump back up into this range at around 306, this is going to be resistance here, because a lot of people, if they brought this channel here, and they see it collapse 50% and then it rallies back up to this level, they're going to be, thank goodness I can cash out, break even, you know, and they're just going to be thankful that the price rallied back to that level, so they're break even on their money, they can cash out, you know. But there's a lot of people that have been left holding the bag essentially from a lot of these higher levels. So, you know, I just want to just keep that in the back of your mind. There is a hell of a lot of resistance all the way up for ECOMI here. But anyway, guys, I want to flip over to Google here and I want to talk about something. So I've got some of the biggest buzzwords that when NFTs were popping off, every man and their dog wanted in: NFT, Metaverse, Web3, OpenSea. So some of these keywords were huge. They were all the craze back during the 2021 bull market. As you can see, it made an all-time high around January of 2022. And then we've had the very quick collapse, and now you've had that very slow death cleanse, right? So no one's typing in NFTs. This is now the time to be researching, looking through all the crappy NFT projects, you know, picking out the best looking ones that you think are going to outperform the next cycle. Now, if we have a look over here, I've added in Bitcoin, and you can see Bitcoin did the same thing. It rallied to a high, and then it was down in the doldrums. It was just laying against the floor mat on the floor, and then all of a sudden it had a rally, right? You know, so if you bought anywhere during this area here, you would look like an absolute genius. The same thing here, you were just laying on the floor, no one was interested in crypto or Bitcoin, and then it rallied, right? And now you can see the same thing. We're essentially been going down, and we've been just forming a floor here. Now, I do believe there is going to be a point where you're going to want to be in you know, NFTs and stuff. So I do believe we could probably be down here for another year or so, but this is the time to be looking through all the NFT projects and Metaverse cryptocurrencies, and maybe even some gaming cryptocurrencies, looking through what's the best bet. And I do think, you know, there's going to be a lot of money to be made during the next bull market cycle. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found some very useful information as well. Make sure you smash the like button, smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the very next video. GameX out. Peace.